Have you opened a news app lately? I bet you've been bombarded with some pretty scary headlines about the housing market. Is it crashing? Is it a bubble about to pop? Well, today, we're going to cut through all that noise and figure out what is really going on. You know, this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. The story the media is telling you and the story the data is telling, well, they are often two completely different things. So let's dive into that gap between the panic and the reality. So first up, let's talk about what I like to call the headline trap. This is all about how the media grabs your attention and, more importantly, directs your focus. And they usually do it with one very, very powerful tool: fear. I mean, you see words like this everywhere, don't you? Crash. And then there's bubble, which, immediately makes you think something's about to burst. And of course, collapse. Look, these words are short, they're punchy, and they are absolutely designed to get a gut reaction from you. They get clicks because they tap right into our anxieties. But here's the thing, they almost never show you the full picture. Okay, so we get what they're doing. Now let's dig into the why. Why is the housing story so often framed in these super extreme terms? I'll tell you right now, it is not an accident. It is a full-blown strategy. I love this analogy. It's just perfect. A movie trailer shows you all the explosions and the most dramatic moments to get you to buy a ticket, right? It's not the whole film. Headlines work the exact same way. See, a headline's primary job isn't always to inform you perfectly. It's built to get clicks and to take really complex topics and boil them down. Journalists often have to squeeze years of nuanced market forces into one single scary word, because let's be honest, fear sells way faster than nuance does. And this, right here, brings us to maybe the most important part of our whole conversation. What exactly is being left out of these sound bites? Because the real story, the one that actually matters, is always in the details that just don't fit into a flashy headline. This is the key stuff that gets ignored. Headlines will scream about a national crash, but they rarely mention that some local markets are still growing. They don't talk about the fact that we have persistent inventory shortages, or that today's lending standards are way stricter than back in 2008. And they definitely forget that experts see data in cycles. A dip isn't always doomsday. A lot of the time, it's just part of a natural reset. I love this slide because it's like a secret decoder ring for all the hype. Professionals learn to translate this coded language, so when a headline screams crash, a real estate analyst might just see a slight correction. A media boom could actually just be localized growth. They see the shades of gray, where headlines only show you black and white. So the big question is, how do we take all this knowledge and actually use it? Well, this next section is all about shifting your entire mindset from being a passive consumer of news to an active analyst. It's about moving from playing defense to playing offense. This comparison really lays it all out. When you only read the headlines, you're constantly playing defense. You're reacting to fear, you're inheriting someone else's point of view, but when you learn to look at the actual data, you start playing offense. You can spot potential opportunities, and this is the most important part, you get to form your own educated opinion. Okay, this is a huge one. It's a core concept for the pros. So many people get obsessed with trying to time the market, waiting for that perfect moment to buy at the absolute bottom. But the pros know that's a myth. Real long-term wealth is built through time in the market, holding on through the cycles, not by trying to perfectly predict them. All right, let's bring it all home. We're going to give you a practical playbook. This is your new guide to reading the news like a pro, so you never get caught in that headline trap, ever again. Okay, here it is, your new playbook. It's a super simple 3-step process. First, spot the emotional language. The second you see words like crash or bubble, your critical thinking alarm should go off. Step 2, ask what's being ignored. Is this article talking about the whole country or your specific neighborhood? Because there's a huge difference. And third, whenever you can, find the source data. Look past the news article to the actual report it's based on. That's where the real story is hiding. Let's end on this really powerful idea because it just sums everything up perfectly. Your financial decisions are way too important to be based on someone else's fear-based story. Developing your own perspective, that's your most valuable asset. And this is the final thought I want to leave you with. From now on, whenever you see one of those dramatic housing headlines, I want you to reframe the question in your mind. Don't just ask what it said. Ask, what did it leave out? Stay curious, dig a little deeper, and I promise you'll always be ahead of the noise.